this new setup. So I guess we are live. Everything looks like it's going. So we'll just go with we are live. This is Get the News Straight. I'm Glenn Sutphin, your host. This is my co-host, a man called Chris Dorsey. We're here tonight to tell you about what happened this past week. I know Chris had said he wanted to continue from where we left off on the radio, so I'm going to give him the floor and let him go from where he wants to go from. So, Chris?
Yeah, well, we went and spoke to the people as a body of the people, as the Constitutional Virginia Militia on Tuesday. Officially we went on the public airwaves and we informed the body of the people. We informed the public and we informed government officials that they must start abolishment of the government. It's got to begin now, and we need orderly restoration of the law of the land. We need orderly restoration of the common law and constitutional Republican law, and a definite return to Virginia Constitution being not just in name only, but in fact the law of the land, the supreme law of the land. So we laid out the facts, we quoted the law, and we exercised our infinite right and our God-given right to free thought and free speech and free will and free action. And that really trumps everything. We are making lawful actions, and and it's up to the body of the people now. One of the things we focused on is the nuclear disasters that are happening all around the planet, and a larger umbrella to that is the trillions of dollars being made by the institutions that control our food, our water, and our air in order to poison us. And Glenn, we can talk about the Monsanto issue inside and out. We can hit the chemtrails inside and out.
I think we're going to do that. We're going to start doing shows where we just cover just one topic and pick a topic like Monsanto, like chemtrails, because they actually need their own. You can't just say combine them all into one conglomerate thing and get a coherent what's going on, because there's so much each person, and that's why I'm trying to get all these people, because each person has their own little niche where they do chemtrails, they do the Monsanto, they do, and that's good, because they can concentrate on it where I don't have to sit there and do all the research for you. And I think we'll just take each episode and do different things like that.
Yeah, so basically the point, the point of what we're saying and what we're acting, knowing the facts, are that there's no disputing that poison is being sprayed from the sky. There's no disputing that Monsanto has Roundup ready seed, so the poison's already in the seed. So what comes from the seed is the plant, which we eat, and it's already poisoned from its inception. And
it kills bugs. Think about it. It's got pesticide built into it. They're saying we're putting pesticide in this. It produces its own pesticide. It kills bugs. It's okay for you to eat.
Right.
Sorry.
And the genetic modification of the seed, there's no disputing it. Nobody can argue that it's not happening, because it is happening. Nobody's disputing the fact that they're, spraying poison on all of our food, not to mention that it's already in the seed, and that the GMO process makes it, further adds cancer causing effects to the food that's being produced as a result. Nobody can dispute the fact that there is tritium leaking from the North Anna power plant. Nobody can dispute the fact that there is a Scottish nuclear power plant that is leaking tritium now and that was engulfed in flames yesterday. No one can dispute that the mega disaster of Fukushima is killing all life forms in its path. Nobody can dispute the fact that the closer you live to a nuclear power plant, the more likely you are to get cancer. The closer you are to a nuclear power plant, the more likely you are to die at a younger age than someone who is farther away. No one can dispute these facts. There's tritium in the water. The water is poison. Look at the BP oil spill, and there's lots of other oil spills. We can't even keep track of them. The James River right here in Virginia. The James River was on fire.
With oil slick and stuff floating down it, and then they go, it in no way endangered the environment or the fish swimming in the water because somehow the oil in the water does not touch the fish in the water. It was amazing to hear this. I was thrilled to hear this because, yay, at least the fish were okay. No. Well, I took science in high school. Come on, I know that fish live in water. They swim through the stuff. It affects them. They breathe it. They get it through their gills. They filter it. Come on, do some. Just have a little common sense when you look at this stuff. But yeah.
Well, just to follow up. There was a conversation with the Virginia Director of Environmental Protection. I'm not sure exactly what the agency is called, but I mean, you can go to Richmond Peace at YouTube and you'll have the conversation. And he says, well, there was no environmental damage. And I said, well, wait a second. Is it natural for water to catch on fire? Yeah. Is the river, is that part of the environment? Well, yeah, I guess the river is part of the environment. That guy responded. I don't remember his name, but again, it's all on the YouTube. It's public knowledge now. And he says, well, yeah, I guess that's part of the environment. Is it normal for water to catch on fire? No. Wouldn't one logically consider water catching on fire environmental damage?
There's your point. Logic, common sense.
Sure. I mean,
if you have common sense.
He did agree with me once I laid that out to him, but that would be the first, because I guess it's just you and me, Glenn, or maybe a small percentage of the people when they see when I see a picture of the thing that I get my drinking water and bathe with, and I see a picture of it on fire and it's a body of water, that's the first and last thing I think about is wait a second. The James Rivers, that's on fire.
Yeah. Well, people are lighting their water coming out of their tap on fire.
Sure.
So it's
Amen.
Yeah, it's don't worry about it. It's okay. It doesn't affect the environment.
Right. It doesn't affect the environment.
And it doesn't affect you either. You can drink this stuff. It's safe. Come on, people. I mean,
it's safe for us to tell you to drink it because you won't do anything to stop us from drilling on your land and instead of getting water, getting fire. Is that some no, I mean that's some biblical shit or something.
Well, now West Virginia, they wanted to start fracking underneath the biggest source of natural water they've got. It's why? Oh, to infect the drinking water.
Oh yeah, because there haven't been enough problems with West Virginia's drinking water already.
It's
okay. Let's talk about that false flag. That one, that's all of just them. Like the BP false flag, because they knew there was a guarantee that it was going to happen. Or the North Anna nuclear power plant false flag. You put a nuclear power plant on an active earthquake fault line. It's going to happen.
No, it's safe because
it's safe.
They built it safe.
Right.
That's what they said.
So BP knows that it's going to cause this gigantic rupturing. It's gonna happen. It's not like a matter of if, but a matter of when. They keep doing it. Same with the West Virginia water poisoning. I mean, man, if I was living in well, I wouldn't be living in Charleston, West Virginia. No offense to the folks in Charleston, but that's not even a real state. That's not even a legal state, West Virginia. But anyways, you can always come back to Virginia, and that'll be when things are lawful. We'll take that West Virginia back, or maybe we'll leave some parts of it.
We'll just leave it as is.
But anyway, what did you do? They just poisoned your water. They poisoned your water supply, and what did you do? I guess we're gonna have to get bottled water. I guess we're not gonna have to bathe. I guess we're gonna... Man, you should have gone down to City Hall and grabbed every one of those officials, gone to every rich person's neighborhood in the vicinity and found them, dragged them out of their houses, and given them justice right then. They're criminals. They attempted mass murder. They poisoned the water supply. There's not really... Is there a higher crime than poisoning the water supply?
Well, yeah, poisoning the air.
Poisoning your
body.
And I guess, who's doing that? All the same institutions.
Which leads back to the ones following Agenda 21 who are pushing Rex 84, Cloward and Piven, all these, or all Agenda 21.
Agenda 21. United Nations, the World Government Industrial Complex. The government arm of the Bank for International Settlements, the government arm of the International Bankers,
we lead back to what we've been talking about on the radio, and it all goes back in a circle again to where we're back here. So everything we say fits into this web somewhere, and people take a part of that web and go, well, this is all we have to concentrate on. And it's like, but the spider concentrates on the whole web, not part of the web. And if you just look at part of it, you're going to get there and you're going to stop, and you're not going to look at the rest of it.
That's called being myopic.
Or compartmentalized.
Compartmentalization.
You just focus on one little and not look at the bigger picture that's out there. And when you take a step back and look, it's a big agenda that's going on, not this little thing that, it's just the chemtrails. No, it's the chemtrails. It's the poisoning the food. It's all of it together.
Government is population control. They control the amount of money that goes in, which controls everything else. But what's underneath it? The food supply, the water supply, the air, the amount of poisons that can be put into the water and still be considered safe.
Who can be born and who dies.
That's right. Government sterilization programs, who can have kids, who can't. Right. Exactly.
What you can do and what you can't do. That's not what government was set up for.
No. Government is
not what
our
government was set up for.
Our government and the government that we abide by is set up only to protect our rights. And as I was saying earlier, and I will say again, as I've heard from smarter people than myself, the only rights that we can count on are our God-given rights, and nothing else is a right besides that. The right to live. That's kind of subjective. We all have the right to live, but the government, the current criminal government, the Agenda 21. United Nations, so-called United Nations infrastructure, they operate under their right to kill you, and to get you to slave away for these same people that want to kill you your entire life. They might even, they have to keep a certain number of people alive, but they want to replace you. They're pushing for, and they're doing it. They're doing it.
They're bringing in robots, and people, all that's made up. I wish it were. I wish I were lying. I
go
wish
to the grocery store.
Yeah, you go through the scanner. That you've already got the self checkout. They're already training you. Pay attention to the robot. The robot tells you what to do, and you got to do it. And you go beep, and your Pavlovian response is, "Oh, it beeped. I got to do something." My phone. Pavlov. You know, you've been responding to all these things that they've programmed you to do from the time you were born. And some of you have lived under a chemtrail sky all your life. You don't know what natural clouds look like. And you're about 20-ish. A lot of you are 20-ish. And you're telling people that have been on the earth longer that they're wrong and they're stupid and they don't know what's going on. When I'm pretty much, for most of you, I've been alive longer than twice your lives. So, you know, so telling me what's been going on that I've known about since '77, I became awake to it. I remember Nixon. Oh, yeah. But then you tell me what happened in history and tell me it's a conspiracy theory.
Specifically,
it's kind of weird.
You know, I think what's important with that is that you've read these documents, that you
or that I lived through stuff. And, you know, you lived every day through this stuff, and then you get told that's not what happened by somebody that wasn't there and has not any knowledge of what happened during that period. Then you get paperwork to back it up, and that's fake. And why? Because they're made up experts of nothingness said so, and because they, who from a fake account will tell you that you're wrong, and you have to listen to them from a fake account, and anything that they say is, oh, well, you got to listen to me because I'm telling you to listen to me because I just want you better obey. And it's like, well, what's your proof of anything? Well, I'm hiding behind this fake account telling you people are fake. Well, yes, they are, and you're one of them. And I'm not listening to you. That's all and you're laughable. And it's just, and people are afraid of you? I mean, come on. I'm not afraid of you, and I don't care that I'm not crying to my mommy that the internet is making fun of me either. No, I'm not. No, I'm just pointing out how much of a schmuck you are. You know, but please keep doing what you're doing. I don't care. You don't bother me. You're nuts. So there's bigger stuff, and when I'm facing down police officers, when I'm facing politicians face to face, this close, telling them they're wrong, and then you tell me you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, all I can say is they're fake.
We know that.
They're not real, and all I've got to say is, like, man, dealing with low level individuals, even if they're Fedbot robots or actual Mossad agents who get paid
troglodytes,
or just regular idiots. Who don't have anything better to do. It doesn't really matter. We don't focusing on that is nothing. Again,
time waster. It's
a time waster. Again, we need to come together. The target is real. Who's benefiting from this society that's poisoning you and making you a slave? Who's benefiting from it? There are people that benefit from it. And those who benefit from it are relatively guilty, and they really need to start turning on one another. This was the point I made efforts to hit home when on live radio, speaking directly to agents and actors and employees of the government. It's time to go after your boss. It's time to turn the table. Stop taking orders. Your orders are coming lawfully from the body of the people now. And if one is not working to abolish the government in its current form, one is relatively guilty of treason. And, the government, they don't pay the highest, but, we're talking about government contractors as well. And the government pays it's a salary for a lot of people that makes more money than
I bet you they're
others.
above poverty wage.
They're
Trust me. Yeah.
they're well above where I'm living.
Yeah, we won't.
So
I'd like to see poverty level.
yeah, I would like to see poverty level too. I could live pretty comfortably on that, but I know these folks are living fairly comfortably, except for if they have a conscience, they can't sleep at night. So we're talking to you. If you work for the government, you don't do any bit of good. You never do any bit of good. Like any bit of good that you do in your life, it is all wiped out by the fact that you're a cog in that evil satanic wheel that poisons you and slays, and that what this government is alleged to stand for, what the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence and the Virginia Declaration of Rights and Virginia Constitution states, you do the exact opposite. So you're just a dishonorable, low-life piece of garbage. And what you need to do in order to redeem yourself is you need to start turning on the people around you who are pushing forward this agenda. You need to start coming to us, coming to our meetings, viewing our meetings, and acting out our directives. And that's it. I mean, we've been doing this stuff since I started giving directives to printed in the media to Leon Panetta when he was head of the Central Intelligence Agency. Now, is he still head of the DIA? I think he's still head of the Pentagon. But
they switch around so much so that you can't nail them down.
Right.
Because one minute they're here, and then the next minute they're at a different.
Well, it's all military intelligence, and he was head of the CIA, and stated as the so-called civilian. After being head of the CIA, he became the civilian head of the Defense Department, so-called Defense Department, and they use that interchangeably with the word Pentagon. Like that satanic pentagram pointed downward, not upward. But the thing is, he said something much more important than the direction of the angle of where something's pointed, because he committed treason against the only part of his job. He said to a Senate committee that the United States military takes its orders from NATO and the UN, the United Nations. Okay.
And then it goes to Congress.
No. Then I think he said something to the effect of, if they want to inform Congress
if they want to inform Congress.
If they want to inform them.
Okay,
keep them apprised or something to that effect. But the first part was enough of the treason. It was so much treason that nothing more treasonous could be said. So the U.S. government doesn't exist. It's not a legitimate actor. It doesn't have any lawful authority. It doesn't have any legal authority. And where the rubber hits the road when we deal with local people, they're either in on the criminal operation, they're always in on the criminal operation, and they understand and comprehend exactly what kind of crime that they're carrying out, or they're useful idiots that either don't have any idea what's going on or pretend like they don't have any idea what's going on.
Yeah.
So we're just saying to the folks out there, to the body of the people, we're giving you this information. We're going to meet. The government's got to be abolished. What does it stand? Who likes the government? Okay, what it's got, like, president's got like 30% approval rating. Lower? Okay.
Congress only has like about seven or nine. And I think one big ass mistake America has. I think it's down in the 20s. I'm not sure.
So Bathhouse Barry has about a quarter of the freaking idiots who are gonna answer questions about it. I mean, who likes? I want to know who out there still likes the government.
The illegals that are coming in.
Oh,
the invasive species from down below the border that are coming in. The
okay. So this is so funny. I want to talk a little bit about, piggyback on that to just the general what that's going to do. People don't have any good jobs right now. So when you're competing, in that human eat human world that these satanic, degenerate scumbags that control the government have created, what's bringing additional, workers into the so-called labor force going to do? It's going to drive down wages. And
it's going to wreck the economy.
It's going to wreck the economy. So what does the mainstream media say? Oh, no. One might think that adding more workers to to the labor pool is going to bring down, but no, studies show that actually it's going to increase the wages. That's what somebody on CNBC said the other day. They're lying to you. I mean,
their media, they always lie to you.
Right,
media.
But if it's something that's so obvious, like the head of the Environmental Protection Agency for Virginia telling you when discussing the James River being on fire that there was no environmental damage, and this so-called expert talking on CNBC saying the wages aren't going to go down when more workers are coming in undocumented into the United States
telling
of America.
Me there's no environmental damage, but they're putting up barriers to stop the environmental damage that's occurring.
Right. Oh, yeah. No environmental... Exact. Yeah, yes. They did put up barriers.
And put barriers up to stop the environmental damage that was occurring because there was no environmental damage.
Now we're talking about the oil spill in the James River
with the three tanker cars that went in.
Oh, I think that they never said exactly how many of the tanker cars went in, but 3 were completely emptied. And they said at first that no tankers had spilled in until pictures started to appear.
The photos I saw there, I only saw 3 of them. So
right. Well,
we'll just go with 3 that I visually saw in a photo.
There were others that were off the tank.
Off
the track, did they spill? We know that 3 were emptied, that were upside down and empty in the James River, at least. And there seemed to be more spill from other cars that didn't actually end up in the river, but there was a spill on the outside.
And pouring it on the ground also does not involve the environment.
Right. The ground is also part of the environment.
It's magically protected from the oil, just like the fish. Remember the fish and the plants in the James River that were collecting all the oil that they said weren't affected by it.
Sure. Yeah, and it was
magical stuff there.
It was completely safe for the city of Richmond to consume the water
through.
But Chesterfield County cut off the water supply until after a certain date. So it was safe for the city of Richmond, but not so why was it? It's not if one is watching this video, they might say, well, this would be the reason and that would be good. Ask all your questions. We already asked most of the most obvious questions that we could think about, and there are so many questions.
Told them they were lying.
You do it too. Yeah, we were telling them you're lying. We're filing a FOIA. We're contacting the Department of Public Works. We're asking them questions. We're attempting to get on the phone with somebody who has any idea of what's going on, and
which
was nobody with anything except for a bunch of Sergeant Schultz going, I know nothing. I
saw nothing. I didn't even get out of bed this morning. Yeah.
So we know what it's like. It's not like we're not contacting these officials and that we don't know as much and that they're not covering up everything that they can. That is what they do. They don't want to inform you. They are only doing what they absolutely have to do in order to function in their job. I I did look and see that there is a much lower life expectancy for those in the city of Richmond than in Chesterfield County. So maybe that was like worked into the data of that study. Is like, oh,
they're dead anyway. They don't need to know.
Yeah, there was an oil spill in the river, and they said it was okay for the city residents, but the county cut off the water supply from the James River. So, I don't know whether that was a corollary factor in the New York Times study that says that you're in pretty good shape, relatively speaking, in this third world cesspool that used to be called the United States of America. In Chesterfield, but in Richmond, you're not so great. You're gonna die a lot younger than most of your.
Live in the plus places of the FEMA region, please.
Do that, because but we must say that is a good segue into another thing that the militia made an appearance on, and that was on Al Alam TV. So I want to segue into something that Glenn's been researching a lot, and that's the Chinese takeover. Thanks, Beijing, Terry McAuliffe, of the Commonwealth of Virginia. And I just want to get into saying, like, the Chinese, it's like they're just the leg men for the
look up Treaty
for the
of the Seas, Law of the Seas treaty. Yeah, Law of the Seas treaty. We gave all our water rights to China. They're trying to bring in a Chinese water park here in Richmond.
Chesterfield. Yeah, there's a couple big Chinese firms that are going to be in Chesterfield.
And it's all owned by Chinese, run by the Chinese. And where are your wages coming from in this?
I would say it's more exact to say it's run by the Chinese, because the money is actually coming from the same bankers. They just transfer. Because,
at the top, yes, it's the same bankers, but
our conditions aren't as bad as working conditions aren't as bad as the Chinese yet. Because well, that's because the workers still have.
They haven't brought it in yet. That's why.
And because they disarmed the Chinese, and we're still armed.
Yeah, isn't it beautiful?
As we speak.
This is why we're still free.
Yeah, that's the only thing. That's the only.
The guns go.
Any shred of freedom you think you have, don't thank a vet, because they're just mercenaries for the bankers. Thank a gun owner who's willing to go out and speak up, and not just an idiot member of the NRA. Because the NRA are just lobbyists. They sponsor gun control legislation.
And not an asshat that walks around with a
unloaded weapon. If you're an idiot who walks around with a freaking unloaded gun.
Or asks permission to do said thing.
Or a cop blocker who works with feds and works with lawyers who work with the same cops that you're attempting to expose. No, you're not really Jack. You're actually getting in the way, and I think you know it. You've been explained that. So I just want to sit. I just want to
read what you're.
I do want to read this, because before I went on Al Alam television, the subject matter of the topic of the program, and I think it was probably about a 30-minute program or 24-minute program, and there was a representative, I presume, of the Iranian government from Tehran. There was a clear mouthpiece of the Russian government live on feed from Moscow, and then there was myself acting on behalf of the Virginia militia, the body of the people of Virginia and the United States of America, the true American people, we the people. And so, as I do, I like to read the Bible. That's always been something that's been taught to me, and it's never steered me wrong. And so I just opened it up, and this was what was written. Be not afraid, but speak, and hold not thy peace. For I am with thee, and no man shall set on thee to hurt thee, for I have much power in this city. So we went on Al Alam TV, the militia, myself as a representative, to discuss the Vienna conference, the Vienna nuclear conference. And representatives of China, the foreign minister of Russia, foreign minister of China, and of course the Secretary of State of the United States of whatever you want to call it, the so-called United States, and they are in talks with the most powerful non-nuclear state in the world, with the United Nations, and so what we have here is the New World Order, the international banking cartel, international Zionism, whatever anybody wants to call it, the United Nations, the world government. They're trying to co-opt this one holdout, the Islamic Republic of Iran, into joining in and becoming a nuclear power. And as we stated before, nuclear energy is destroying the planet. So I think that there are a lot within the Iranian government that, if they haven't already developed nuclear energy, they're ready to do so, and they will benefit financially. What I said on live television is that that's un-Islamic, that's un-Christian, it's abomination, and that every one of those institutions and governments, like the Russian government, the Chinese government, the United States government, the United Nations, which is the umbrella governmental arm of the international bankers that controls all the nations, they all work together. And they all have an agenda. And it's time to stand up to that agenda. If you live in New York City, you can't call yourself an American. That's where the headquarters of the freaking UN is. Of course, we live in the city of Richmond, where the Federal Reserve Bank of Richmond is. Of course, we contact them. We say we're coming after you. We call them criminals right to their face, and we stand out in front of them with as highly weaponized as we can be, and with serious and stern intentions. So we go on international television and we start stating these institutions are criminal, and we were debating folks from Russia who were saying, oh, the Russian government, they're allies of Iran. We want, it's the right of the Islamic Republic to have a nuclear energy, playing their role in order to expand the nuclear industrial complex, in order to expand the technology from multinational corporations, that are going to, irradiate, Iran or Persia or whatever anybody wants to call it. It's just the land where people live, no matter what you call it, whether you call it, Iran or the Islamic Republic of Iran. If there's a meltdown, you're not gonna be able to call it anything, because it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, it'll be glass.
So what I'm saying here is, it's an abomination, and I was talking directly to the Ayatollah on state-run television. I was talking directly to representatives of the Iranian government, saying, you think you're playing Vladimir Putin against John Kerry? Come on. I don't think so. I think the only thing that's obvious is that expansion of nuclear energy and getting into bed with Russia and China only means getting into bed with the Zionist bankers and usury. The Iranian government, they're not a signatory to Basel III, and they're the most powerful of the three countries that are not. That would be North Korea, which is a narco state, and Cuba, which is a narco state. More than just others. They wash a lot of drug money through those states. But they're the most powerful non-nuclear. And why is that? Because of their strategic location and their strategic resources. So, what we have is a comprehension of what is the driving force behind everything. And that would be the international bankers and their want to control the resources, the energy, and to be able to do mass kill operations on ever expanding population centers. And just real quick, Glenn, the CIA and the secret government infrastructure, it'll always be in our area. It'll always be around, but a lot of that stuff is being moved to Denver.
Yeah.
And
Colorado and Utah.
Colorado. And one thing about Colorado, unlike any of, and please check behind me on this and verify that I'm correct, that Colorado is the only state in these so-called United States of America that does not have a nuclear power plant located in it.
You might be right. I don't remember one in Colorado.
I think that is the case, and there is like 348 around the world, something like that, and they're all leaking. I mean, and even when they function properly, they're putting out radioactive, cancer-causing agents like radon and xenon, and just it's out there.
Cesium.
Yeah, I mean, putting tritium into the groundwater, etc. It's not good. It's really bad. There are clean energies out there. There's molten salt. There's regular solar. There's wind. There is hydroelectric. The planet is salt and water mostly. Salt is the most common carbon. Salt is one of the best energy creators. So's water. Why would we have to create these things that kill us all when we have all these things that we're made out of to begin with that would conduct and create electricity?
Or even thermal energy.
Thermal. Well, that's the molten salt stuff. Yeah, the thermal energy is brilliant. So what does it do? It goes up. Better not have a mess up. Better not have a technical glitch. But there's always glitches. So it's like they're definitely attempting to kill you. And you know what? I gotta be like a guest that sometimes doesn't say everything that I would like to. But next time I'm on the state-run media or international media, I'll say if there's anyone out there that opposes the United States of America government, the current Federal Reserve Bank unlawful United States, just send me a couple $1 million. The government will be overthrown within, what, a couple weeks?
Couple weeks at least. If.
Right. I mean, come on. I mean, we see millions and millions gone to this. Oh, go donate to the Tea Party and donate to the Heritage Foundation and MoveOn.org and, Dennis Kucinich and Hands On Greater Richmond and, March Against Monsanto, Occupy this, Occupy. Just give us a little bit. We don't need much. We know where all these fuckers live who run this government. Man, $2 million, we could fucking shut down the city for 100,000. If somebody were to die, I mean, we could even do it through the election. If somebody said $100,000 in the $2 million, shut down the elections in the United States and form an actual government. They waste so much. They waste because they got to create lie inside of lie inside of lie until somebody says, "This is all bullshit."
Well, they don't waste it. It just goes into everybody's pocket that wants it. Yeah.
I'm saying wasted as far as doing actually anything constructive.
Well, that's all they never do anything constructive.
They never do anything constructive.
So yeah, that's not. If they started, that would be a first. So
I mean, anyone out there, any governments? I mean, I know some governments out
donations.
there know how to get into my bank account. I mean, I'm not an assumption, in that agreement, but just stick some money in there. I mean, we will abolish this government. And I do want to touch on that 29-year-old lady here in Richmond Henrico, sorry. What is her name?
I don't remember.
I don't remember her name. Her name doesn't really matter. But allegedly, she is sitting in a federal jail and has been inside a federal courthouse because she posted the words, "I love ISIS," on her status update, probably. Something on her Facebook page. I love ISIS. Now, this is the second time I've heard something around the Richmond area about ISIS. One of my friends, Ma'at, has a I love ISIS bumper sticker that she's had on her car for, she says, 8 years now. So many years before ISIS, the terrorist group, and that she was contacted by the Department of Homeland Security over a bumper sticker that says, "I love ISIS." I went to Elwood Thompson's well, they could say local market at local, and I will say less poison food market than all the other poison food places. Less, but much more expensive to buy less poison food. Gouging. Usury. I get incense there. They have Auric Blends incense, and one of the flavors of incense I get is called ISIS. Is Homeland Security going to do a raid? Because not only are they're promoting and selling a product called ISIS. So I just want to say, I go on international television and say what ISIS is. It's Israeli Secret Intelligence Service. If somebody actually is supporting ISIS, then yeah, they should be in a federal courthouse, because that's the government. The current world government, that's an arm of the world government, is that so-called Islamic State, which is really just a Mossad and CIA operation.
Another arm of Hydra.
Another arm of Hydra. It's a problem reaction solution tool. It's like Al Qaeda, or
well, yeah, it is.
More accurately, say Al Mossad.
Yeah.
Because it's the Mossad and the CIA and the MI6,
6, 7, MI5.
Yeah. So FBI. It's so and that Al Baghdadi. His real name is Elliot Shimon, and he's a Mossad agent. And there's pictures of him meeting with John McCain. And like, here's the thing: if all that's not true, then all these people are creating a big ruse, but it is just a big ruse, because, like, what did they say? That ISIS is now gonna coin their own money, and they have oil refineries now, and that not only their oil refineries now, but that they're mobile oil refineries. So we can't catch their oil refineries with the CIA like eye in the sky. Somehow ISIS, is such a a force that came out of nowhere, that they arm themselves and they refine their own oil, and they create their own currency and coin their own money. Come on, give me a break. Are you that stupid? Come on. Okay, they said Building 7 fell down while it's standing in the background.
The fires, the planes, that hit it, and all that. Come on, didn't you hear it? You heard the story. The wing hit, part of a wing hit it or something and started a fire.
Man, I've heard all sorts of lies, but no wing hit that building.
Yeah, I know this.
There were no visible fires, and it was still standing.
And it
for
was
a substantial amount of time.
It had a reinforced bunker in it too. So,
Sure. Well, I mean, it had all sorts of things in that building.
Well, the CIA was in it.
Same with WTC1 and WTC2. They had all sorts of things in there.
And they all went bye-bye because they had to, because you wouldn't believe it, and then you believe it. It was reduced to dust by nothing. Unicorn fart.
Sure.
And there it was.
So, really, come on. Why are you this stupid? You believe anything. You believe something, they start changing the name. They go like, oh, it's not ISIS anymore. It's
ISIL.
ISIL.
Now it's IS. Now it's back to ISIS.
Now
it's it's not Al-Qaeda,
the group
Al-Qaeda.
known as the Islamic State. I mean,
now they're the group formerly known as Prince.
The more things that they are called, the more fucking powerful these I don't know, stage actors become.
Yeah, that's
what are they doing? It's like a certain faction within the Syrian civil war is called the Islamic State, and who funds them and who leads them? Well, the factions of the Israeli government, factions of the United States government, factions of the British government. Oh, that was the thing. There was another fake beheading, and they don't even show it anymore. They just go, the White House has verified. The White House has verified that this is a genuine beheading of this guy. What's his name? Rahman?
I don't know.
I mean, his name wasn't Rahman to begin with, but he's some sort of military intelligence agent who allegedly converted to Islam and
they beheaded him anyway.
Yeah, right. I'm like, that is the thing, like,
because then you're a traitor.
But the thing is, like, beheading, that's not like the Islamic thing to do. That's this is where they betray themselves. It's the Jewish thing to do. Like, chopping somebody's head off, that's always Talmudism right there. Others, like, they have, like, firing squad. I would say that's like, most of the Christian nations, that's how they do things. Firing squad, maybe even hanging. But, that's that chopping the head off. That's why the Saudis do so much of it, because they're Jews. They're not Islamic. They're not Christian, of course. And because in order to be Islamic, one has to be a follower of the Prophet Jesus Christ, and the Son, the Son of God. But also they have to follow Jesus Christ, so they can't be but too Talmudic. So it's like the opposite. But who's doing all the legwork and the fighting? The Christian Zionists, they become real radical. They want to throw pigs' heads at Islamic ceremonies. I saw someone on my Facebook feed who's been, standing out armed in front of the Federal Reserve Bank saying he would love to have been there to see the look on the Muslims' face when they were carrying out their religious ceremony, when somebody threw a pig's head, a bloody pig's head out. That's foul. That is disgusting. What is wrong with you, degenerates? What is wrong with you? Throwing a pig's head at somebody who's worshiping God? Man, that's foul. And they think that's anti-Christian. If you support the state of Israel, you're an anti-Christian. If you worship Jews who killed Jesus, you're anti-Christian. So, I mean, it's just pretty much as simple as that, but that stuff's all fake. I mean, that's all hocus pocus.
It all pulls into that psyop that they're pulling everywhere. It's a big psyop.
There are people being killed in Syria, for sure.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Definitely.
But
psyops. This is a thing that people don't understand about psyops. They go, you say it's a psyop.
Somebody's got to pay for the guns and the killers.
Well, then you're saying it's not real. No, people die. They actually have to have the people die.
But it's not what they say it is.
But it's made up. The storyline is made up to. They use the death and then make the story up, like the Mike Brown thing. They use a death, and then the stuff that happens around it is the psyop. The death is not the psyop. The person dies. A person dies. Boom. They're dead. It happens. What they say happens then becomes the psyop.
Right.
To use the story to propagate their agenda. And well, you're saying they didn't kill somebody.
But
they
I want to
people.
be clear here that I am not saying that when they're doing these fake beheadings that they're showing the folks that they have been definitely debunked. I'm saying that nobody is dying in those videos. I'm saying the fake beheading videos from from that Cats woman
or whatever.
and the Japper the rapper, the British rapper they call DJ Jin. I'm saying that those, Rita Katz videos and DJ Jin videos, I'm saying that I don't think that, nobody died in that. That's all fake. That's a green screen. I'm saying that in the Syrian civil war, people are dying. There is a faction that is being funded and armed by U.S. taxpayers and is a front for Israeli Mossad and the CIA. I'm saying that is definitely happening. I'm saying that they are smuggling oil. But what I'm not saying is that they are not creating their own currency. They are not organic, and they are not Islamic. They are mercenaries, and they don't have the ability to refine and sell their own oils. They don't have shipping tankers. The CIA and the Mossad do. But this armed faction fighting in a civil war, they do not. And these videos shot behind a green screen with these fake characters with, backstories that tug at your heartstrings, that they're fake. And one would have to be a freaking idiot to believe them. As much of an idiot, as we were saying, as to believe that 2 planes can knock down 3 buildings at free fall speed into their own footprint into dust.
Yeah.
So remember, that's who's telling you these fairy tale fabrications.
But they're the same ones that want to bring in Obamacare.
Oh, wait a second. It's not like somebody didn't just say, we lied about it the whole time and said, right, we lied to you again. When are they not lying?
If they stopped lying, that would be something.
That's how I became an expert. I am not smart. I just figured out a way to game the system. And that is to know what in fact is going on. Presume the exact opposite of whatever one hears on TV. And that's how I became an expert. And seeing reality. And I stopped, buying into delusional things. Even when it started affecting the way I personally felt about a subject. I don't get, stuck up in it. Oh, should abortion be legal? Should it not be legal? I don't want to pay for it. And I don't, so it's not my choice on whether it should be illegal or not, because I can't control what a woman does with her own body. She could, a woman could abort a fetus anytime she wants with any number of different drugs. You don't need to have an invasive. But I will tell people one thing. If you don't like abortion, at least stop drinking Pepsi.
Yeah.
At least, stop
supporting it.
Stop, voting for Democrats if you don't like baby killers. and Republicans for that matter too, because they all make sure that it goes in. They'll never shut down an abortion clinic. No Republican, no active Republican will ever do anything to truly even slow down abortion. They love it. They love abortion.
That's part of Agenda 21. They're not going to jeopardize their plans of depopulation.
I do want to touch on this because I oppose abortion, and I'm the one acting in the city of Richmond, which has one of the highest prison populations in the nation, with the highest prison population in the history of the world. And what do I say? I want to reduce the prison population by 3/4. And who's overwhelmingly in the Richmond jail? They go, people of African descent, African Americans, black people. So what do they say? Chris Dorsey, he doesn't like black people. Like, does it really? I do like many black people. Many of my best friends. That sounds cliche, and as close as family members. But the thing is, it doesn't really matter, because who does it benefit? If I didn't, I would be doing. If I was out to get, a certain percentage of the population, I'm really messing up.
Yeah.
When I speak out against abortion and say that we should cut off all funds, who is that? Who is that? Benefiting? Who gets more abortions by percentage than anybody else? Baby killing. I'm saying, man, I'm not going to drink these aborted fetuses. I'm not going to keep your poison Pepsi away from me. I think that definitely all tax funded money should go and go anywhere else but to fund abortion. So
and to stop funding the damn
if I had some sort of and to stop funding the prisons. So
and putting everybody in there for nothing.
So again, blindly follow the Democratic Party, blindly vote for anybody with a D behind their name, and gleefully, watch, millions upon millions of black babies being butchered, aborted, mutilated, etc., and continue the prison slave system, and say, at least we have a black Democrat that is murder. And you know what? He's just a pawn. You see, you can be as free as you want to be. No one's freer than me. Who's the most powerful people in Richmond? Jeff Lacker? Man, somebody reserves a seat for him at city council. I sit in it. They delay the meeting because they don't want Jeff Lacker is afraid to walk in front of me. He's president of the Richmond Federal Reserve Bank. What does he do? He can't delay the meeting any longer. Can't do anything to Chris Dorsey. He comes right in front of my face. I tell him he's a criminal. I invoke, a court of record. I go into detail about how he's a criminal. And I'm doing it with a gun. And he walks back again in front of me again. I call him a criminal. He gets done speaking. I call him a criminal. Oh, well, the government really controls it. Dwight Jones. Man, Dwight Jones, I get right up in his face. I tell him he's a criminal. Bobby Scott, you name it. Obama, please let me tell him he's a criminal to his face. I prefer Janet Yellen. I prefer, actually, the real major stockholders like the Rothschilds. But again, we got to put the cuffs on these people. We have to arrest them. That's it. You go after the top. Seizing assets is easy. They do it to drug dealers all the time. Not the big drug dealers like the CIA.
Yeah, they don't do the... No, they
or ATF.
Not really dealers, the ones that just front the product.
Just the ones that front the product.
Because if they actually went after the dealers, they'd be putting the CIA and the FBI behind bars for.
Oh, right.
That. Yeah, so so you can't say the dealers.
And the CIA and the FBI, they're just the intelligence arms and the minions of the bankers.
Right.
So they're part of that industrial military complex. It all goes back to the banks. Seize the assets. Seize the property. Now again, this if the law, and the law will be upheld, the militia is the top arm. So basically, we're giving the orders at this point. We do see, those swear an oath to uphold the Constitution with weaponry. Now we're giving you direct orders as to what to do with this. I mean, because really, we touched on Beijing, Terry McAuliffe, the fixer for the Clintons, the satanic Clintons, the demonic, evil, foul scum of the earth. No offense to actual scum of the earth, Clinton family. And that he's selling out, to the Chinese. And that they're transferring management of a lot of the infrastructure to the Chinese. And when I say infrastructure, because they don't own shit. I mean, the Rothschilds, they run China just like they run the United States. So Beijing Terry selling and the Clintons giving away those nuclear secrets and components to the Chinese government, same as they, as government agents and Israeli Mossad and we're selling all the secrets to AQ Khan with Pakistan and the Pollard with the Israelis and the Rosenbergs with the Russians. It was all meant to be. It was, it wasn't, and they all work together. So the mission for everyone out there who calls themselves a decent human being, a Christian, a Muslim, just a moral people. Your job is to abolish this government, abolish this system, work towards something better, which is the restoration of real freedom and real peace and harmony on the planet, because it can't operate under this kind of discord, because that's all that there is discord out there, division and discord, and that's the divide and conquer. Disharmony. That's the divide and conquer mentality of the nihilists and the Talmudists who are controlling our system from top to bottom.
Yeah, pretty much. I think we're real close to the time, so
okay.
So I think we're at a good point to wrap it up for tonight. And
yeah, we'll be next Sunday. We'll be real busy. We'll be at the meeting at 2 p.m. Elwood Thompson's. If there's a switch, we're gonna try to find out, who's gonna be there beforehand, and everybody's welcome to come. And we'll definitely have people out there to look out for those who just naturally come, but generally we know who's going to come, and we were going to have some serious business to take care of, and then we'll have serious business on the radio, and we'll describe how that went. What?
We're not on the radio.
Oh, on the live internet feed, yeah. I get radio and this mixed up.
And then we'll have our show after that. So
yeah, and we'll have this
show. And I'm going to try to start a Wednesday show too. So we're trying to get all that situated and organized, and that's pretty much where we're at. We won't be on WCLM for a while.
Well, there was discussion that we might have some investors buy some airtime on WCLM, and there was also P.T. Brown was saying that if anybody responds to our, it was probably like 10 hours of evidence against the criminal government, if any government agent wants to respond, then they're going to call us directly and we'll go right on the air. But again, I mean, We said that stuff right over the radio. We outed them, exposed them for everything. We went into such great detail for many, many hours, and no one called to dispute anything that we were saying at all.
Well, it's hard to dispute the truth. I mean, especially when you lay it out, when we put everything out there, all the evidence. Here's the documents. Here's what was said. Here's the videos. It's all we do. That's why I don't edit anything. I put everything out there for everybody to see. It's like, this is what happens. I film the news crews filming the news.
Right.
And so people can see what's going on and get a view unbiased as best as I can. And then you want to hear what I have to say. Well, that's where my words come in.
Behind the curtains.
Yeah, behind the curtains.
Without
behind the scenes.
Without the spin of the corporate media. And whose interest do they carry out? They're supposed to be exposing and watching out and being on your side. Watching out for government corruption. Has government corruption gotten worse or better since the TV news has been around? Maybe they're not exposing anything. Maybe they're just the mouthpiece for it.
Well, they're the propaganda.
Not maybe.
They're the propaganda arm. Media is the propaganda arm of the U.S.
Oh,
government.
I did debate a what seemed to be a spokesperson for the Russian government on the air today. And again, when I go on there, there are some places in the United States, that are over the air, networks where I'll be censored. And, I must say, the Russian state-controlled government, they run a pretty tight ship as far as pushing forward an agenda. The United States media, corporate media, and even alternative media, they run pretty tight ships too, and they don't get too far off the beaten path. They don't go into great detail about any sort of solutions to all the problems. They just seem to foment them, and we hit this stuff head on. We won't just take on propagandists for the American government. We'll take on propagandists for the Russian government and the Chinese government and the Iranian government.
Yeah, especially when they're all pushing the same agenda. So,
well, there are more factions pushing a different agenda in the Iranian government. Unfortunately, I wish we were the better government. I wish we were the government that were standing up to this, usury anti-Christian cabal. But Iran's in on it too. But I must say, maybe a little less so.
All right. Well, on that note, we'll finish the show for tonight. This has been Get the News Straight. I'm Glenn Sutphin, the host. This is Chris Dorsey.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Catch you later.